Hey, what's up everyone? The Dan Sandwich here, and today I am back in automation and BeamNG.drive, and today I've got a very weird, interesting vehicle to show you. You've probably already seen this thumbnail, so you know that I have made my equivalent of a Tron Lightcycle in automation. This was an idea I had kicking around for a while. I actually had this built pretty much for a little while as well. I just wasn't really ready to show it off because I had a bit more testing to do and things like that to get it to where I wanted it. But now I basically have it finished. I mean, it's still not perfect, but I'm really happy with the way that it has turned out. This is my first ever less than 4-wheel vehicle in automation. I've seen a bunch of like 3-wheel vehicles in automation. I've seen one rear wheel or one front wheel, but I've never seen anyone do a motorcycle before. I'm sure that it has been done. I doubt I'm the very first one ever to do this, but I haven't seen anyone else do it. So, but it's definitely my first attempt at it. And I thought by going with a bike that's kind of floating like the Lightcycle is, it would be easier than having to build like custom suspension and things like that to make it work for like a real motorcycle. But yeah, this is what I came up with. I really am happy with the way the design worked out. I kind of toyed with the idea of putting a rider on there so it didn't look so... I mean, it was always going to look alien and different and weird, but it looks really weird when there's no one riding it. But, you know, I kind of decided not to do that just because I feel like that would kind of be even weirder if I did put like a dummy or something like that on top of it. I did make this an electric bike as well, as you'd expect from Tron. So this is one of my first electric vehicles as well. I've only ever done one other one on where I had made a video about it, and that was the UFO that I built. But yeah, this is definitely a very interesting vehicle here. If you want to see how I did this, I'll show you. So the car model that we picked is... where is it? Is it going to show us? Yeah, it's this little guy right here. I wanted something that was very small. I think this is like the smallest car you can get that's still mid-engine. And so that's what I went with for that. So if I go to... yeah, you can see it right there. If I go to the paint, obviously I did transparent paint. So you can see that's what the body actually looks like around it. So that, you know, there is a better way to do this where you actually go in and modify the car further. I don't really know how to do that, so that's why I didn't do it. So when you see me driving it in BeamNG, it's going to be a little bit wonky because that's the actual body of the car. But I do find it helps keep the motorcycle upright. Where it would probably fall over very easily if it didn't have that surrounding it. So it kind of works out for the best, I think. But it does lead to a little bit of jank when you are driving it. That is one thing I realized as well, is like when you're making a 2-wheel vehicle like this, it's pretty janky. So when I actually do my automation test track run, it's not going to be the best lap I've ever done by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, so what we have here, I did make this engine. Again, when you're doing electric vehicles, I'm not exactly sure how well it translates, but it translated fairly well, I felt, into BeamNG. It's a very small 1.2 liter. This is a 4-cylinder a 4-cylinder boxer engine. I do believe it is twin turbocharged. Yes, it is. So it's got 804 horsepower, 385 foot-pounds of torque. Pretty decent little boxer engine there. Obviously, you can't see it because I turned it invisible. I turned everything to plus 15 quality because I wanted to be super lightweight. And that helps out with the weight there. So it does cost, over $1 million, but it's a futuristic bike in a video game. I think it makes sense. It only weighs 1,800 pounds, which is, I don't know how that compares to a motorcycle, as I'm not super familiar with motorcycles, but it would be extremely light for a car. So yeah, I mean, it's a very different car. I do have it set to all-wheel drive, so that's going to be technically two-wheel drive. Oh, I guess I didn't actually show you how I made this. I'm getting ahead of myself there. So if you go to fixtures here, you go to advanced trim settings. I have the wheel offset in the front set to -160, and then in the rear is also -160. So that's basically pushing the wheels all the way together, so they're essentially on top of each other, to create this motorcycle-like look. And then I did have to mess with the camber as well, so that the wheels would be straight up and down instead of kind of folding in on themselves vertically as well. So that's what I had to do there. So in the front it's +2.5, and then in the rear it's +1 for camber, with the suspension settings I have on here. Because if you have the wheels folding in on each other, then it's not going to drive well. And then I think in some cases, if you have the wheels too close together, then it won't export to BeamNG. You'll just have an error when you try to load the vehicle in the game. So this is what I had to do to get this to work in BeamNG, and it does work in BeamNG. I'll show you here in a little bit. But as far as the design, this is all, again, fixtures. Everything is fixtures. These wheel arches are really nice for this sort of thing. You can see how well that worked there. I believe I have the same thing in the front and the rear. Yeah, so using the two different wheel arch styles to create this motorcycle-like look, and then, you know, using these to build like the kind of, I'm not even sure what you would call that, but like the body of the motorcycle there as well. And then I have a bunch of like LED light bars going across there, so everything lights up as well. You'll see if I toggle the lights, and it doesn't really show up here very well because it's everything's white already, but it does light up, you know, really nicely, at least when I go into photo mode. When it's in BeamNG, it doesn't really light up that well because these lights are very small, but you can see in the photo mode here, it's really cool when it lights up against that black background. I think it looks really slick. Really cool design. Now, again, it doesn't drive amazingly well in BeamNG because it is a two-wheel vehicle built on a four-wheel platform, so it's going to be a little janky. But I really wanted to just see if I could do this at all, and in that way, I was successful. But let's take it into BeamNG. I'll show you what I'm talking about in terms of the actual driving experience. Alright, here we are at the grid map, because I thought it was appropriate for the Tron bike to be on the grid. If you haven't seen the movie, you won't understand that reference. But yeah, it's obviously electric, so it doesn't sound like anything. And yeah, the turning radius, it's a bit wide. It's a little bit wide. You can see in the bottom left, it's showing damage to the body, because it would if the body was there. But you know, it drives okay. Obviously, it's a little odd driving something with just two wheels. If you look really closely, you can see... Oh, geez, as I spin around there. If you look really closely, you can see the seam where the wheels are meeting. Because, again, while I do have it set so that they do go straight up and down, when they're under load, they do bend in a little bit, just like they would in real life. So it doesn't show up perfectly in BeamNG, but it never was going to. Let's just be honest. It was never going to work perfectly when we're kind of messing with things in the way that we are. But this thing is super fun to kind of mess around with. Again, when I do take it out to the test track, you'll see I'm not going to set any lap times of this thing. Any lap records, that is. Because it just... Oh boy. Alright, as we go up the hill, it's gonna fall down. I tempered my speed a little bit so that it wouldn't just like fly off the end there and then, you know, make a jump. But I think I went a little bit too slow. This thing isn't the fastest thing in the world just because even though it has quite a bit of power from the engine, I don't know how exactly that translates to electric. But, you know, it does drive okay. You can kind of get it to do what you want for the most part. The problem is, once you get up to speed, and I'll show you here what I'm talking about, you get the speed wobble. You get the speed wobble for sure. It's a lot of that. So right around 130 miles an hour is when that happens. And then when you smash it, you can see one wheel becomes two. Because there are, in fact, two wheels there. But, you know, it's just a really cool thing to see in BeamNG that, you know, that I made an automation. The fact that I was able to get this to work at all, I'm just really, really happy with. Because it's you know, it's different. It's very strange. And the fact that I, again, can even control this vehicle at all is surprising, to say the least. Let's see. Let's go into night, and I'll show you how this thing looks with all the lights on. So now you can see with the lights on how it looks. Again, the wheels light up in automation, but there's no way to get it so they light up in BeamNG. I experimented with putting like circular LEDs in the wheel wells, but the problem there is that once you turn, they get all messed up. So there's no really way to fix that in BeamNG. But the sides light up the way that you'd expect. The other thing too is I also experimented with using. Oh, it's completely borked now. I also experimented with using like different colored lights as well, but they also did not export to BeamNG as anything other than white. So I just left them white so that it would, you know, be consistent from what I showed you in automation to how they work in BeamNG.drive. And now I can't see where I'm going because I don't actually have any headlights. The lights are all on the side. And I probably should have addressed that as well. But, you know, again, this is more of, hey, can I make this look cool? Versus, hey, is this going to be practical? Because there's nothing practical about a Lightcycle at all, really, if you think about it. And, of course, I was not able to get the trail of light behind it either, as I'm sure you understand. I don't know if there's a way to do that in BeamNG. Maybe there's a weird mod you can download, but for the most part, I just wanted to try this thing out and see if it would work. And you know, it kind of does. It really does kind of work. I can kind of spin it around like that and stuff. So yeah, I mean, this is just a really fun experiment that seems to have worked. I mean. So let's take this to the automation test track and let's see what kind of lap I can put down. I feel like it's probably going to be very slow. Alright, automation test track time in the Lightcycle. Again, it's electric, so you're not going to hear any engine sounds. A lot of tire screeching. A lot of handbrake turns have to be done in this thing to get it to go where you want to. It understeers pretty severely. Probably because the wheels are so close together. And then when it does oversteer, it oversteers a lot. And then you can see it's kind of leaning there. The rear wheel bounces quite a bit. So yeah, I mean, it's not a great car because it's not a car. It is really fun and funny to kind of look at. Oh, went really wide there. Yeah, this is going to be a very slow lap time. I can already tell you that, just because it's so hard to keep between the lines. You think a smaller vehicle like this wouldn't be so hard to control, but again, it's struggling a lot with trying to figure out how the physics work, I think. But let's see. We're going to have to slow down sooner than normal, I think, here, because we're going to get the death wobble. Oh, yeah. Okay, and we rolled it. And we rolled it. And yeah, that happens. That does happen as well. All right, let's try this again. I'm gonna see if I can't get a full lap in. When I was doing my testing earlier, I was able to get a full lap in. Again, also was not very fast, but it did work. It did successfully complete a lap without rolling it over. It is just really, you really can't drive it like a normal car, and because I'm trying to, it really does struggle with that quite a bit. But let's see. Now again, I think it's difficult because yeah, there is a way to get the mesh for the what am I trying to think of? Collision mesh. The collision mesh for the actual vehicle that is based around. There's a way to kind of get that to fit. Oh geez. I'm just gonna see if I can turn it around. As long as I don't flip over, I'm gonna count it as a lap. But yeah, as long as there is a way to get the collision mesh to match up with the smaller body of the vehicle, but I think that might cause more harm than good, because then it would have a really hard time staying upright, I think. Oh geez, death wobble right there. Death wobble. Spinning around. Oh, crashing into the wall a little bit. And is it gonna roll over? No. Okay, we're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep it going. This thing is. It's gonna be rough. Because I think if oh geez, and I rolled it again. Oh man, this is gonna be very difficult. But I think if I got the collision mesh to match the size of the body, it would probably have a harder time staying upright, and it may not work at all. So I don't know. I might have to look up like a tutorial on how to do that and see if that fixes things, or if it makes them worse. But for right now, I'm gonna keep it the way it is, and go with that. All right, so let's see if I can't just get a lap in. Slow but tidy around that turn. I did it better the last time. I'm not really sure how I did that any differently. This thing's really gotta slow down before you attempt a turn, though. Basically, just kind of try to keep it under 100 miles an hour, because anything above that, it just starts to freak out. Yeah, if this isn't the slowest lap around the test track, I'll be shocked. It should fare a bit better at the drag strip, because I don't have to turn it. And it is fairly powerful, so it should fare a little bit better there. Alright, made it around that bend without rolling it over. So that's an improvement. Oh, we're bouncing. Oh, we're bouncing. Oh, it rolls over again. Oh my god. I don't even know how it did it that time. I don't even know how it did it. We may not be able to get a lap. Alright, I'm gonna try it one more time to get a lap in. And if I can't, I'm gonna say that it's just not happening. Again, when I was doing my testing, I got a lap in, but it took me a little while, and I don't know. I'm being quiet just because I need to concentrate on not messing this up. Oh, geez. Alright. Okay. Not good, but not terrible either. Gotta kind of feather the throttle through here so I don't get the death wobble. To be fair, I couldn't even imagine how terrifying. I've never ridden a motorcycle, full disclosure, so I can't even imagine how terrifying it would be to be on a motorcycle traveling at 100 miles an hour. Because you get in a car and you go that fast, and you're like, oh man, this is really fast. But in a motorcycle, like when there's nothing around you to stop the world from crushing your fragile body, I couldn't even imagine the terror of riding a motorcycle that quickly. But obviously, people do it, and they tend to enjoy it. It seems. I am a bit of a thrill seeker in that I love roller coasters. I would, you know, I would love to skydive someday or bungee jump. I think that sounds really, really fun. But for some reason, the idea of driving a motorcycle at that kind of speed just seems terrifying to me. Maybe it's because I see how other people drive. And knowing that you're like that close to just becoming a road pancake is, you know, probably what is the most terrifying to me about it. I said I was going to stop talking, but I don't seem to be able to. I'm sure a lot of my friends and family would agree with that statement. All right. Bouncing around a bit here, but we are getting near the end of the lap, and this is certainly going to be the slowest time. We're going to be up over 3 minutes, I'm sure, if I can successfully get it to cross the line, and I think I might be able to now that we have it sorted out. So yeah, definitely going to be the slowest lap time that I've done so far. Let's smash it into that wall right there, and yeah, we're going to be way at the bottom of the list. That is quite a bit slower than everything else I've tested, but you know, it's not easy to drive at all. But let's see how this thing does at the drag strip. I think we'll have a little bit better luck there. All right, West Coast USA drag strip in the Lightcycle. For some reason, what I've noticed is when you make an EV in automation, when you send it out into BeamNG, the acceleration is not what you'd expect. Oh man, this is a bad run. Oh, really bad run, but still 13.9 seconds. Let's see, is that the slowest? Not the slowest. I think I can do better though. Let's retry. I'm gonna retry. I'm gonna see if I can get it to keep it from bouncing all over the place. The thing is, like, when it loads in, it seems like it like drops it into the map, and so it starts bouncing immediately. So I'm just gonna keep my hand off the stick, but I can't because it immediately starts going left. But this thing is still gonna be better than last time. It's actually way slower. Interesting. So when I crashed, I was faster. So I don't know. Better than some stuff. So let's see. It was what? It was like 25th. Yeah. So faster than the Street Racer and stuff like that. I guess it's not as fast as I wanted. But again, that's the thing with EVs. I've noticed when you export them into BeamNG, they don't really accelerate like you think. But you know, it's a motorcycle, sort of. I don't know. It was never really designed to be crazy fast because you just can't maintain control at those higher speeds. But we don't need control for this next part. Let's see how far this thing can fly off the car jump arena jump. All right, and finally we are at the car jump arena in the Lightcycle. As always, if you enjoyed this video, if you want to leave a like, that would be really cool. That helps other people find this thing. Apparently, I don't really know how that works, but YouTube tells me it's important. So if you feel like doing that, that would be really cool. If you want to see what other cool automation stuff I come up with, subscribing to the channel is the easiest way to do that. And if you want to check this Lightcycle out for yourself, I will be leaving a download link to this thing in the description below as well, so you can try it out in BeamNG as well. Alright, all that stuff taken care of. Let's just see how far this thing can fly off the car jump arena. This could be sketchy, as I'm sure it will be. I might even just be sending this thing off sideways or something like that. just to get it off. Oh, here we go. It's bouncing, and then it does end up flying quite far, actually, like around the 375 mark. Can I stop this thing before it crashes? Sort of. Yeah, actually. So yeah, it actually, I can still drive it. The front wheel is very messed up, but the back wheel still works, so I can kind of do donuts in the sand while I finish up. So yeah, that's what happens when you build a Lightcycle in automation and export it to BeamNG. It sort of works, and it is very fun. Honestly, it's pretty fun to mess around with. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.